This is a really important lecture about visual plagiarism. You guys are familiar with plagiarism when it comes to your writing classes, but since we're going to be dealing with images that you find online and we're going to be manipulating images, I want you to know exactly what you can and can't use. So you don't want to fail the class because you have accidentally plagiarized something. So I'm going to make sure that you guys completely understand what you can use and what you cannot use. So this is what the college defines as academic dishonesty. You can pause this video and read it. There's also all of these slides are also on Blackboard, so you can go back and look at them. University defines plagiarism as the appropriation of another's work or idea and the unacknowledged incorporation, that's the important part, of the work or idea into one's own work offered for credit. So the idea is that you are submitting work to class that I am assuming you created completely from scratch. So that's the important part. Any student found guilty of dishonesty in any phase of academic work will be subjected to disciplinary action. Used to be that if you were accused of plagiarism or any kind of academic dishonesty, it was between you and the professor would decide what kind of consequences there were, and you guys would go from there. It's not like that anymore. What happens is if you are accused of any kind of academic dishonesty, the professor has to fill out one of these forms. And you can kind of pause this and you can go and you can look at it. It requires the signature of the chair of the department. So it is not just between you and the professor anymore. It goes beyond that, and it can go even higher than that. So the professor gets to decide on whatever the penalty is going to be for any kind of academic dishonesty. The penalty for knowingly plagiarizing in this course right here is failure of the entire course, even if the plagiarizing occurs on the very last project. That's why I want you to understand completely what is acceptable and what is not acceptable in this course. Now, this isn't just an idle threat. In the past year, I have had to fail a student because she took a pattern that was directly off of a website and presented it as her own work and knowingly did it. And I think it was we had 5 projects in the class. It was on the 4th project. She was doing okay up until then, but she failed the entire semester because you are in school and either you or your parents or your student loans are paying money for you to take these classes so that you are learning how to be an artist yourself. And we can't tolerate any kind of plagiarism. I need to know that the stuff that you are submitting into the class is stuff that you have created yourself. Now, that doesn't mean that we will not be using some images that we found, but I'm going to make sure that you understand exactly what you can and what you cannot do. So these are some examples of plagiarism in the real world, things that have actually happened, things that have gone to court, things like that. So this is a poster that was created when Obama ran for his first term. And you can see over there on the left the original photo that image was pulled from. So he cropped it down, he changed the color scheme, he wrote the word hope on the bottom, and he was selling them for money. And the Associated Press hires photographers, artists, to shoot their images, and they pay their artists money for the images that they shoot, and they license their photos out to other people to be able to use those images. Well, this artist did not license this image to be used. He just took it and he used it and he was making money off of it. So let me read this little thing. It says on the bottom, Los Angeles street artist Shepard Fairey pleaded guilty in a New York City courthouse to a copyright case filed by the Associated Press. Fairley admitted to using an unauthorized AP photo for his Obama Hope poster and for forging documents to conceal it. So I don't know beyond that what exactly happened, but as you will see in the next slide, this artist, actually it's this slide and I think the next one after this, this artist has done a lot of this. Some of it ended up in court, some of it did not. These are two different cases, so Ferry's work is in the middle, those two that are stacked. So you can see that over on the left, he pulled from a poster way back in 1919. It was a depiction of workers listening to a revolutionary agitator. What he did was he flipped it and he added a face onto it and added some lettering and was selling it for money. The one on the right was from 1920. It is a famous recruitment poster for the Soviet Red Army, and you can see the bottom there where he just switched out the colors and put some words on it. Now, I'm not sure if there's any kind of a court case or anything that happened from this, but it's another case of blatant visual plagiarism using another artist's work, because even back in 1919, 1920, there was an artist that did these. The one on the left is a lino cut, and the one on the right is it doesn't say what it is, but it's probably also a lino cut. So there was an artist that actually created those, and what this artist is doing is he's presenting them as if he created it from scratch. Here's the last example that I have of him. So the image on the left is a still from the movie 1984, and on the right is the poster that he created and was selling. And so when they originally made this movie, I don't know, it doesn't say in my notes when they made this movie. Anyway, when they originally made this movie, they hired an artist to create that image, and they printed it large and had it on the wall as this guy ran by it in this scene. So it was another artist that created it. Well, what Shepard Fairey did was he took that image directly and presented it as his own work, which you're not supposed to do. All right, so moving on to something else. So the original work is at the top. I'm not going to try and pronounce this name, but let's just go with Maria. So Maria is an artist that's it's a Ukrainian artist that's renowned for colorful work depicting animals, various flora, and rural life. The bottom one is Fin Air, and so Fin Air hired a design firm to create imagery to go on their airplanes. And one of the artists or designers at this design company plagiarized the images up here from Maria and put them on the airplane. And let's see, it says that the firm admitted to copywriting the design and apologized for the plagiarism. I know that Fin Air, as soon as they found out about this, they removed the images from their airplane. Here is an example of a shirt apparently that Kohl's was selling. So on the left is a Los Angeles illustrator, drawings of her Boston Terrier that appeared in a poster that she did, and on the right is apparently Kohl's, or whoever created this shirt for Kohl's, took some of these images directly and put them on shirts and socks and was selling it. My notes say that the case was settled in December 2016. So of course, you know, there can be images of this specific kind of dog, boxers or Boston Terrier dogs, that may look similar, but these are very, very specific. You can lay them right on top of each other. You can see that it was work that was stolen directly from somebody else. Here is the original work is over on the left, this tote bag, and on the right was a political organization that took pieces of it and put it on a t-shirt. And I don't know if they were selling it. I don't know if they were giving it away when people gave donations. I'm not sure exactly what the story is on that. The originals are on green from a design firm called Modern Dog. So design firms often create visuals and posters that they send out to their clients, that their clients can like put up in their offices or in their bathrooms, at work or whatever, just to kind of it's self-promotional work. So they created this big thing of dogs because their company's called Modern Dog. Well, Target created a t-shirt and took some of these dogs and put it on the t-shirt and was selling it for money. So let me see what this says. It says circled are a few strikingly similar ones. You may find more if you look closely. Target claimed that the dog illustrations are technical rather than creative. Anyone could have done it. But Modern Dog disputed this claim. In fact, Modern Dog thinks the designer used a Wacom tablet to trace the illustrations. A PhD in mathematics from Stanford was among the expert witnesses called. The witness stated that there is less than a 1 in over 2 million chance that they did not trace the dogs from the Modern Dog's work. In January 2014, Modern Dog won their case against Target/Disney. So I hope they got a good little chunk of cash out of that. Okay, editorial design. I've got several examples of these. I simplified this slideshow a little bit. I felt like I had too many examples. I think the examples I have in here are enough for you guys to see. But this editorial illustrator, David Simpson, has done a lot of plagiarism, and there was a story about him. I don't have the dates on this, but I can remember hearing about this years ago, at least 10 years ago, of him. Editorial illustrators are hired for two things. They're hired for their illustration skills, and they are hired for their ideas in making commentary on social issues. Well, he was stealing both from this original artist here, and I know that he lost his job for whatever magazine he was working for there. This is a website that the last time I checked still exists. It is a website where you can go on and so if your company is called Teddy Bear Ceramics or something, you can go on this website. You can pick out one of these little images. They will typeset your company's name underneath it, and they'll send you out a vector image of it that you can use on your business cards and stuff. Well, and for like $79. So what this guy was doing is he was taking other designers' work and putting it on his website and selling it to people. And what he would do is he would make very slight changes. You can, it says continued on the next slide, but actually I've deleted the next slides. But he's made very, very small changes to things. Like I know if you zoom in here on this this panda here, I think in his thing he's got like little white eyes or something on it. So he's made some very small changes to it, which when it went to court, they felt that this actually proved that he knew what he was doing was wrong, and he was making slight changes so that maybe he wouldn't get in trouble with it. But that obviously that was not enough changes to it to make it so that he could legally use them. Okay, so university degrees are awarded on the understanding that professors are assessing the student's own work. This is true in every class, and that students are in higher education to develop their own singular vision. So in all of your classes, whenever you submit, if you submit something written, if you submit something visual, your professor is assuming that you created that work. And if you did not create that work, then that is academic dishonesty, and it can get you into a lot of trouble, in addition to it being a bad thing. So you don't want to be that person. Okay, so what reference materials can you use? Because it's not like I don't want you to use reference materials. If you are creating some kind of a logo that has a bear on it, I'm assuming that you're going to want to go online and you're going to want to look at what bears look like how far apart their eyes are, what their ear shapes are. Do they have whiskers? I don't think they do. I don't know. I can't remember. Anyway, I expect you to look at images so that you can get it right. So I want you to understand which images you can use and which images you can't. Side note, not really side note, kind of important also. This is not about legal copyright. It may be legal for you to use an image, but if you did not create it yourself, you should not use it in this course without permission from me, the instructor. I'm not concerned about if it is a copyright infringement. What I'm concerned about is you being the artist and you being the creative thinking behind it, because you're in school to be the artist, not to use another artist's work. So as students, nobody's going to come after you if you use somebody else's, Unassociated Press's photo in some of your work. And I'm not going to get into all the details of like doing subversive works and all that kind of stuff. You're a student. Probably nobody's going to come after you unless you're making a lot of money out of it. That's not what I'm concerned about. What I'm concerned about is when you submit a work for a grade, I want to know that you are the one that created that work and that I am not grading it thinking you created it and you actually did not. So a few examples here. So your challenge might be you want to create a logo that shows a bear and some text. Again, I want you to know what a bear looks like. I don't necessarily want you to just pull it out of your memory. I want you to actually go and look and see what they look like. So what kind of stuff should you look at? First of all, if you do a Google search, there used to be, and I think there probably still is, some place where you can change the settings for if you want to look at photos, or if you want to look at illustrations, or if you want to look at clip art. So that's where you need to be careful about what you look at. Don't even go and look at clip art. First of all, it's probably crap. But it's also another artist's work, no matter how bad it is. It's another artist's work. You don't even need to be looking at that. First of all, it may be completely inaccurate on what a bear actually looks like. So just steer away from that. Don't even look at that. Don't use the setting that says illustration or drawings. Okay. What you want to look at is you want to look at images of bears. Now, ideally, if there is a bear locally, you could go and you could stand in front of them and you can take pictures. The Houston Zoo does have bears, but I fully do not expect you to be going down there and taking photos, that'd be great if you could. I expect that you're going to go online and you're going to search for bear pictures. It's just the ones that you need to be careful about using. You need to be using ones that are very generic, pictures that anybody could get. So if you were to go down to the zoo and if you had a really good lens and if the bears were out frolicking that day, the pictures that do not have X's on them in this image are pictures that you legitimately might be able to get yourself. Okay. The other ones I feel like are very specific. And especially when we start doing things in Photoshop where you are compositing different images together, I want you to be really careful about what images you use in those cases. So here's another example. You're doing something where you need an image of a dirt road, right? We live in East Texas. Well, if you're in a summer class, I'm not sure exactly where you're living, but if you're anywhere near East Texas or Huntsville, you can probably walk outside and within 5 minutes walk and find a dirt road. So if you can shoot the image yourself, you should shoot the image yourself. If you need a specific angle of being inside of a car with looking so that you can see a little bit of the steering wheel and you can see a little bit out the windshield and stuff, you can sit at your computer for hours and search images until you find the one that's correct. Or you could take your butt outside and you could sit in your car or your buddy's car and you could get your phone and you could just take a picture. And that's going to give you what you need. You don't have to worry about any kind of plagiarism. So if it's possible for you to take the picture yourself, that is absolutely what you should be doing. So in the last few years, I've had to add a section on here about AI generated art. Both Illustrator and Photoshop and all of the Adobe programs do have generative art features, and some of them you may not even realize are generative art. They've had things like content-aware fill, which is technically generative fill. So those are things that you can use. But what I'm talking about is mostly the online programs where you go in and you type in a description of something with words and you hit generate and it generates an image for you. Those are the things that you cannot use in this class unless I tell you that you can. We may end up at some point in this class doing a project that does use generative art, because I think that it's not going away. And I think a lot of you, when you go out and you get jobs in the industry, your boss is going to want you to do obviously original work, but also work as quickly as possible, so that they can go and they can send you on to doing more work. So I want you to know how to use them within the programs, and we'll get to that. But what I want to give you some examples of here are AI generators of art. So generated art is created by teaching algorithms to recognize patterns and relationships and found images and generating new ones in the same style. So I've got a couple of examples here, and where the problem comes in is that these online generators are pulling from literally every image that they can find online. So they are pulling from other people's artwork. They are pulling images from an artist that has their images up on Instagram or has their own website. I've got my own website, so it's out there, and they can pull images from that. So that's where the problem comes in, is it's visual plagiarism. They are pulling images from other artists and not giving those artists credit. The first big thing that put this on everybody's radar was there was a Colorado State Fair annual art competition, and somebody submitted a work of art that was, I can't even remember what it was titled. Maybe the next slide tells us what it was titled. This is what the art looked like. He created it with Midjourney, which is an AI generator online. That turns lines of text into realistic graphics. So he typed some kind of a description in, a very detailed description, obviously, and generated and got this image. He took home the blue ribbon in the fair's contest for emerging digital artists, and it was submitted under the name Jason M. Allen via Midjourney. So as far as he was concerned, he was telling them that he created it in Midjourney. Well, this was so long ago that most people, especially at the Colorado State Fair, didn't know what the heck Midjourney was. And so they thought that this was a work that he had created himself digitally, and they gave him the blue ribbon, and it made big news when it came out that it was actually AI generated. And then everybody started talking about it. So I went through on some of the big generators and just kind of, and I did this a couple of years ago. They're even better now. And I'm just going to go through these really quickly because you can, again, the slideshow is available on Blackboard. You can stop and look at them. You can go onto the programs and play with them yourself. But I want you to get an idea of what these things can do. So these are the prompts that I put in. 1960s art of cow getting abducted by UFO in Midwest. You don't even have to have good grammar when you do it. So this is what it generated, which that would take you some time to do. If you were building that by scratch digitally, that would take you a little time to do, because this has got the lighting is correct on everything, the cast shadows are correct on everything, and that would take you a little bit of time to build. Well, it took probably, when I did this a few years ago, it might have taken a minute or two for it to generate this image. This is another one, a painting in Van Gogh style with a giraffe riding a motorcycle in a hurricane wearing sparkly purple tights. I just tried to come up with the most bizarre things that I possibly could so that you could see what they looked like. So this is what I got, ended up with that. So you can actually type in what kind of style you want. So I put in Van Gogh style, so it gave me something that it thought was Van Gogh style. A cubist painting of forest with a spaceship and a sick black cat. Not just a black cat, a sick black cat. This is what it decided I was going to do with that. This last one here is a digital composite of an underwater scene with a huge goldfish in a tiny house with all underwater with bubbles. And so what this one does, and I think this is DALL-E. The two that I use are DALL-E and Midjourney. I think this little icon down here means DALL-E. So what it does is it generates 4 samples for you. And what you can do is you can pick one of these that you think is the best, and you can hit generate again. and it will generate more images. And then you can pick one of these. If you don't like how these are, you can pick one of these that is close to what you want, and you can hit generate again, and it'll give you 4 more, and just infinitely. You can keep going through this until they give you what you want. So these are the things that, oh wait, I'm flipping ahead here. These are the images, these are the programs that I don't want you using in this class, okay? When you get out in the real world, you may need to do that, but the intent of this class is to teach you how to work in the programs, not to teach you how to generate art quickly. All right, so this is Midjourney. Which the way that you have to type stuff in here is a little bit different, but it gives you some really nice results. You can see on there what the prompts were. I like that one a lot. I like the way they created ghost dogs. So here's an example, and you can pause this and you can read it, how detailed you can get. I mean, there's actually websites that will teach you how to get a really, really detailed prompt typed in there so that you can get a really good solution to it. Okay, so this is a quote. An app that generates AI art is borderline magic in what it's capable of conjuring, but raises so many ethical questions, it's hard to keep track of them all. Okay, bottom line. Never submit AI-generated images as your own creative work. In this class, or I'm going to say in any of your art classes. All of your professors are going to have their own policies about AI-generated artwork, and you need to make sure that you're following that. Always ask the instructor if you are allowed to utilize AI. Rules to avoid visual plagiarism. Only use photos as references. Don't use another artist's work for your designs. Don't present AI or another artist's work as your own. Here's another little subcategory of plagiarism. It's called self-plagiarism. This is where you submit work that you've already submitted in another class. You submit it in a second class for credit. Now, an exception to this is no matter what your major is, you're going to have a capstone class. If you're an animation major, your capstone class is going to have you creating a demo reel that's going to have work that you have probably created in all of your other classes. Same thing with graphic design. You're going to be presenting some kind of a portfolio. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about, and I'm going to give you an example right here, is, for example, you are in the fall semester, you're in a class, and the professor, you're given an assignment to shoot portraits, and you shoot 100 photos and submit this image here for your grade on that project. Okay, this is just some weird, creepy Santa Claus that I have in my Christmas decorations that I decided to use. Okay, so you submit it in the fall semester to this one class, you get a grade, it's all good. In the spring semester, you're taking another photography class with a different professor. Let's see, you're given an assignment to shoot close-ups. You cannot submit the same exact image for a grade in this class. That would be considered self-plagiarism. Okay, now what you can do, if your instructor allows you, is you could go back to those 100 pictures that you shot before, and maybe you could use some of those, but you're not supposed to submit the same exact work. It's the same thing with your written stuff. You're not supposed to submit, one kind of a term paper that you wrote in a class and got a grade for in the same exact thing in another class and get grades. Okay, it's called self-plagiarism. This is the way that you are going to avoid failing the class because you accidentally did some visual plagiarizing. Have all of your found images approved by Chuck. When I give you an assignment in this class, I'm going to tell you very clearly what kind of images you can use and what kind of images you can't use. If you are in doubt at all, if even something like a pattern, anything at all, if you find it online and you did not create it yourself and another artist created it, another photographer shot the picture, all you've got to do is contact me. Send me the image, show me the image. I'm probably going to ask you, how are you going to use it? What part of this are you going to use it? What part of this are you going to use? And I'm going to tell you whether you can use it or not. I'm going to say, yeah, that's fine. Only use this part of it. Or I'm going to say, I'm going to ask you how much you're going to change on it, whatever it is. But that's how you're going to avoid failing this class based on visual plagiarism, is you're going to ask me, and this is your responsibility, to make sure that you are not doing that, okay? Because at the end of the day, whether plagiarism is intentional or accidental, once students submit their finished work, they assume responsibility. So once you submit that piece, you are telling me that you created all of the work there. And if I find that you plagiarized something without asking me about using this image, you're going to fail the class, which would really suck. And you don't want to do that.